You are lying awake at 3 in the morning. Your eyes are open, but you are not seeing the ceiling. You are watching the same thoughts loop. The things you said you would do, the person you swore you would become, and the growing distance between that vision and the reflection staring back at you each morning. You are tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes. The kind that sits in your bones. The kind that makes you wonder if you have been running on a treadmill built by someone else, going nowhere. Fast? You have tried the morning routines, the cold showers, the apps that promise to rewire your brain in 21 days. You have watched the videos about waking up at 5. You have written the goals in the journal you stopped opening after week 2. And still, something is missing. Not motivation. You have had motivation. It arrives like a storm and leaves like a guest who never intended to stay. Something deeper is fractured. Something you cannot name. But you feel it. Every time you sit down to work, and your hand reaches for your phone instead. Every time you finish a day, and cannot remember a single moment of presence. Every time the noise wins. And it always wins. The notifications, the endless scroll. The dopamine drip that leaves you emptier than before. You are not lazy. That word does not describe what is happening to you. You are overwhelmed, overstimulated, drowning in a world that sells you productivity while stealing your attention. You are a warrior who has forgotten there was ever a war. And the enemy is not outside you. It is the noise that has made a home inside your skull. The constant negotiation, the voice that asks, "Who's this once? What difference does it make? You can start tomorrow." That voice is not you, but it has worn your face for so long. You stopped questioning it. You have been fighting the wrong battle. Trying to discipline a mind that was never meant to be forced into submission. Trying to crush yourself into shapes designed by people who do not know your name. This is the trap of the modern world. Hustle culture wrapped in the language of ambition. Burnout dressed as dedication. Exhaustion mistaken for effort. And at the end of it, a silence. Not a peaceful silence, a hollow one. The silence of someone who gave everything and received nothing that mattered. But the ancient masters knew something we forgot. 800 years ago, in the cold mountains of Japan, Zen monks developed a system so extreme, so relentless, that modern minds would call it terrifying. They called it Gyoji. Continuous practice. No gaps. No negotiation. No days off. Not discipline as punishment, but discipline as breath. As natural as waking, as automatic as the heart beating. Gyoji was not about forcing yourself to do hard things. It was about becoming the kind of person for whom hard things are no longer hard, because they are no longer separate from who you are. The monks understood something that productivity culture will never teach you. Willpower is a limited resource. It runs out, it bends, it breaks, but identity does not. When you believe you are the kind of person who meditates, you do not negotiate with yourself about whether to meditate. When you believe you are the kind of person who rises before the sun, you do not bargain with your pillow. The action and the self become one. This is the death they spoke of. Not physical death, something more frightening to the ego. The death of the mediocre self. The part of you that has grown comfortable and compromised. The part that has learned to live with half measures. The part that whispers, "Good enough." That self must die, and from its silence, something ancient will rise. The monks did not chase motivation. They removed the need for it. Every action was scheduled. Every hour was assigned. Not as a prison, but as a liberation from the exhausting weight of constant decision. This is what the Taoist masters called Wu Wei. Not inaction, but effortless action. Movement without resistance. The river does not try to flow, it flows. The tree does not try to grow, it grows. And when you align your daily actions with your deepest identity, you stop trying to be disciplined. You simply are. The gap between who you are and what you do closes. And in that closing, the noise dies. There is a Japanese word, mushin. It means no mind. Not the absence of thought, but the absence of the self that interrupts thought. The voice that judges, the voice that doubts, the voice that fragments your attention into 1,000 broken pieces. In mushin, action arises without hesitation. The sword moves before the thought. The brush touches paper without permission from the ego. This is the state the monks trained for. Every day, every hour, every breath. They did not rely on passion. Passion fades. They did not rely on inspiration. Inspiration is a visitor, not a resident. They relied on ganbaru, to persevere, to endure, to continue when the body screams for rest, to continue when the mind invents 1,000 reasons to stop, To continue because the practice itself is sacred, not because of what it gives you, but because of who it makes you. This is the reframe you were never taught. Discipline is not violence against yourself. It is respect for your own temple. Your body is a temple. Your mind is a temple. And the way you spend your hours is either an offering or a desecration. Every distraction is a small betrayal. Every negotiation is a crack in the foundation. Every exception is a door left open for the noise to return. The monks sealed those doors. They did not rely on motivation. They built environments where failure was not an option, not through punishment, through structure, through rhythm, through the elimination of choice where choice was not needed. You do not wake up and decide whether to breathe. They made discipline the same. This is Kasan, continuous improvement. Not dramatic transformation, but the small, relentless accumulation of aligned action. 1% better, every day, compounded across months, across years, across a lifetime. The gap between the master and the student is not talent. It is time. It is repetition. It is the willingness to return to the practice when every part of you wants to leave. And here's the part that will make your ego uncomfortable. If your discipline does not scare you, you are not operating at the right level. If it does not make others uncomfortable, you are still playing it safe. If you can negotiate with it, it is not discipline. It is preference. True Gyoji leaves no room for the self that wants comfort. It burns that self away. Slowly, methodically, until only the essential remains. This is not cruelty. This is kindness. The deepest kindness you can offer yourself. Because the person on the other side of that fire is unbreakable. Not because they cannot be hurt, but because they have already faced themselves. They have already walked through the silence. They have already chosen the path when every voice inside them begged for the easier road. Stillness in motion. That is the monk's secret. Not stillness instead of motion. Not motion instead of stillness. Both, always, at once. The body moves. The mind remains still. The hands work. The heart rests. This is not something you can read about and understand. This is something you must live. The Zen master said a finger pointing at the moon is not the moon. These words are the finger. The practice is the moon. And you are the one who must walk outside and look up. No one can do it for you. No video can transform you while you sit passive. No amount of knowledge will replace a single hour of aligned action. You came here looking for something. Maybe you thought it was a technique, a hack, a shortcut. There are no shortcuts to becoming who you are meant to be. There is only the path, walked daily. In silence, without applause, without guarantee. The monks who practiced Gyoji did not know if enlightenment would come. They practiced anyway. They woke before sunrise. They sat in cold halls. They carried water. They chopped wood. They did not ask if it was working. They simply continued, because the practice itself was the answer. The question you must ask yourself now is not whether you want this. Everyone wants this. The question is whether you are willing to let the old self die. To stop negotiating, to stop waiting for the right moment, to stop believing that discipline is something that happens to you instead of something you become. The noise will return. It always does. But now you know its name. Now you know it is not you. And now you have a choice. Not a choice you make once, a choice you make every morning, every hour, every breath, between the path that is easy and the path that is true, between the self that wants comfort and the self that wants to be free, between the noise and the silence. The monks are gone. The mountains remain. And the practice waits. It has always been waiting. The only question left is the one you cannot answer with words. Only with how you spend the next hour, and the hour after that, and the hour after that, until there is no difference between the discipline and the self, until you disappear into the practice, and something ancient finally wakes.